So it took me 7 years to figure these mindset secrets out. And before that, I was struggling in every area of my business. And I thought that success, up to the $1 million success, was all about sales funnels or ad spend or having the right offers or even having the right mentors. And I've since realized that's not the case. It's the way we think and operate, and we need to start operating as a 7-figure entrepreneur now. And if we do these things, we find that the big results and the big numbers actually come back the other way to us far quicker. So I want to share with you 7 of the biggest lessons I've learned, mindset shifts that you need to be a 7-figure online entrepreneur. The first one I actually alluded to right there in the intro. It's thinking and operating in such a way that matches a 7-figure entrepreneur, and start acting like that now so you can make decisions like those people. If you think about it, if you're stuck right now not earning what you want to earn, not having the business that you want to have, not having the clients that you want to attract, you're going to be making decisions in amongst your current situation. Someone else who owns and operates a 7 or even an 8-figure online empire is not going to be making decisions like you. They're making decisions from a completely different place. And so what if we could skip the queue? What if we could start to figure out how these people think and start to bring that decision-making process back to our current situation? We might be able to make better decisions right now. So there's a couple of things that you could do. First, go out there and find all the people in your industry that are doing bigger and better things than you currently are, and study them, follow them. I'm talking about get to know them personally. Don't just look at their sales funnels and their online advertisements, but go and follow their Instagram, go and follow their Facebook, their LinkedIn. Really get a feel for how they operate. And every now and again, you'll see a post that pops up and it'll give you a clue. It'll give you a window into their lifestyle, and you'll start to pick up these clues as to how they operate and how they think. And you can start to try and model some of what you are seeing. Something else that's really important is actually speaking the new identity that you want for yourself over yourself right now. I used to think that this was a bunch of woo-woo nonsense, right? Like just speaking things over ourselves. I just used to think that was so pointless and I need to focus on practical things. But I've since realized it's actually really important and it's really powerful. There was a study done not too long ago where there's a group of 100 people attempting to quit smoking. And the first half of the group were instructed when somebody offers them a cigarette, they're to say, "No, thank you, I'm trying to quit." And the second half of the group, when asked or offered a cigarette, they were to say, "No, thank you, I don't smoke anymore." Now, the second option, the latter option, was them speaking their new identity into existence. I don't smoke anymore, that's not me. Whereas the first group are still smokers who are trying not to smoke. And the results were pretty fascinating. The majority of the people in the first camp, still smokers trying to stop, continued to smoke, whereas the other people who spoke their true identity, their new identity into existence, had a much higher success rate purely because of the words out of their mouth and the identity that they were speaking over themselves. The second mindset shift that you need is to stop trying to be one coach to everyone and attempting to attract anyone with a pulse and a credit card. When we are first starting out in business, there is a temptation to do so. We are so desperate for this business to take off. We're so desperate to start landing customers and clients that we start to sacrifice our standards for who it is that we work with and who we can actually help. And so we start to go down this path of just willing to accept anyone as a customer or a client if they are interested in your services and have the money to invest, whether they were actually a good potential client or not. And if you go down this path and you start allowing people into your program that really shouldn't be there, firstly, you're going to find it hard to generate sales anyway, because if you're not specific and you just go out to a very broad market, then you're very vanilla and no one's really paying attention to you. But even if it worked and you started landing a couple of customers, you've got the wrong people in that program, they shouldn't be there, it will have a knock-on effect. A knock-on effect for your motivation, because those clients are now not getting results because they shouldn't have been there in the first place. They're not going to have a good experience with your company, so your reviews are going to be bad, you're not going to get word of mouth spreading, and a whole host of other things that unfolds from that poor decision. What you should actually be doing sounds counterproductive right now, but it will help you have exponential growth moving forward, and that is to be very specific for the target market you're going after and the type of client avatar you want for your business and exactly who it is that you can help. And if you put tunnel vision on and all of your marketing, all of your messaging, all of your sales funnels, all of your advertisements is speaking to that one group of people and you put blinkers on to everyone else, you will actually find that a greater proportion of these people will come to your business will take off, they will get results because they're the right client for you. Now word of mouth will spread, momentum will build, and you'll find you'll actually scale your company far quicker. The third thing is this: we as entrepreneurs create something and we are excited about getting out there into the world, and sometimes we put an unhealthy expectation on that thing that we are launching. We put it out there online in the form of an online course or a coaching program or a service, whatever the case may be, and we work so hard building up to that launch moment that we put a lot of pressure on that first launch actually working. So much so that we procrastinate over the launch for so long, a disproportionate amount of time, because we're waiting for all of the assets that would build up to that launch to be perfect and be correct, only to find that it takes you 2 years before you feel ready to launch, and then it doesn't work. And of course, that's when the disappointment kicks in. That's when those feelings of needing to give up, is this even for me? Is this ever gonna work, start to kick in? Well, the reality is the first attempt at almost anything as an entrepreneur is probably not gonna work. And so there's a quote from a client of ours that has stuck with me ever since she mentioned it on one of our coaching calls, which is, if your first attempt is gonna suck, you may as well get it out the way as quickly as possible. And I think that is so true. Everything you do, your traffic efforts, video ads, sales funnels, messaging, headlines, even your offers, who your client avatar is, all of these things are going to evolve over time. It's going to need testing, it's going to need tweaking. So the sooner you realize this point I'm telling you right now, the sooner you realize that your first attempt at almost any of these things is not going to work, or perhaps not going to be the one that you roll with for a long time, let's launch quickly. Let's get something out the way quickly. Let's take emotion out of the I want to wait till this is perfect, and let's just launch quickly, and let's let the adjustments slowly but surely help steer the direction of the company. There's a book called The Lean Startup, and this is a topic of that book. If you want to dive deeper into this idea of launch quick and then adjust as you go, that's a great book to pick up. Number 4 follows on actually from number 3, right? We want to make what we call data-driven decisions. We talk about this a lot with our clients, right? We have a coaching company called AdClients.com, and we've had thousands of clients go through our high ticket programs, and we've seen this come up time and time again, where clients of ours get too emotionally attached to the result and the outcome, and they're so sure that a certain thing will work that even if the data, even if the numbers is pointing to the fact that it's not, they're so sure that their gut feeling was right. Now, there are lots of times and areas in business where you have to go with the gut feeling. If you're hiring a certain person, right? Yes, we need to look at the evidence on the paperwork that's come through, but ultimately we're going to make a gut feeling on the person. But there are other areas of business, like advertising and marketing, where we have data at our disposal. We launch an ad campaign and it can be very, very clear to us if it's working or not, just based on the numbers. We don't need a gut feeling to make a best decision. We can literally look at an ad campaign and say, has it been profitable or has it not? So if you want to be successful and if you want to scale your business to 7-figure levels and beyond, you must take emotion out of your decision-making process when it comes to your marketing, and you need to instead follow the data and make data-driven decisions. And this will actually add to the stability of your business in its journey to scale, right? Because now if we take emotion out of your decisions, then irrespective of whether you're having a good day, a bad day, you're upset with someone, or you're on cloud 9, makes no difference. Because when you look at those numbers, you make a decision on that day, good or bad, based on what the numbers are telling you to do. Whereas if you make a decision on a day where you're in a bad mood, you're probably going to make some bad decisions. And number 5, strategically placed, you are the average of the 5 closest people around you. And this is incredibly important. I don't think we realize, or at least some of us don't, the influence that the people around us actually have on how we operate and our decision-making process. If you are trying to start this business online, but you are surrounded by people who are not supportive of what you're doing, make jokes about what you're doing, talk about the fact that it's not possible, have a poverty mindset, like all these things, if that's who you're surrounded with, if that's your circle of influence, then you're going to become the average of that. And again, you're going to make very poor decisions. So again, if you're online, watching some training videos, getting excited about what you're going to do with your business this week, but then you go down the pub or you go out for dinner with your friends that don't understand this world, have zero interest in it. In fact, they just think it's a fad or it's a scam. And that's the conversation around the dinner table. It's going to bog you down, it's going to demotivate you, and it's going to start to rub off on you as well. So now let's look at an extreme example the other way. Let's say you're online, you're looking at training on what you're going to do with your business this week, but then you go out to dinner with 5 millionaires, and the conversations are around what they're doing that's so successful right now, how they're thinking, how they're operating, you're probably going to leave that dinner table better equipped than the first option. Now, don't hear what I'm not saying. I don't find being ruthless with your relationships is the key. I have lots of friends of mine that I love and care for dearly that are not entrepreneurial. And that's absolutely fine. It makes no odds to me, but I'm just going to be very careful with the voices that I'm listening to when it comes to making decisions in the business, right? I'm going to be very careful with who I'm asking for advice from and who I'm asking wisdom from on a particular topic. So when it comes to business and entrepreneurship, I just probably won't ask my friends that are not business-minded and are not entrepreneurs. But we're going to go ahead and have a barbecue together and hang out. I'm just going to be conscious of how I'm spending my time and who it's with. Number 6, you must find ways to get shortcuts to skip the queue and get ahead. It's just as simple as that. In the beginning, we are often hoarders of cash and we have a little bit of money in our bank account and we think, I don't want to spend that. I don't want to find a coach. I don't want to find a mentor. I'm going to go ahead and figure this out by myself. And we just don't realize that with hindsight, you would see that that was the far more costly mistake. Think about this. If you could be earning $20,000 a month right now in your business, if you just knew what you needed to know, then you're actually losing $20,000 a month until you figure that stuff out. What if it takes you 2 or 3 years to figure that out? What if we could just hire a coach who could allow us to skip that 2-year learning curve and just give us the answers? That mentorship, if it was $10,000, would pay for itself many times over. So I've had loads of coaches, loads of mentors in my time. In fact, there's never really a period of time that I go in my journey without a mentor or a coach, because every time you hit a certain level of success, now there's another mountain to climb. There's another dragon to slay, and I need to find out from someone else the cheat codes to get past that boss so I can get to the next one. So I'm constantly searching for new coaches and mentors. And number 7 is understanding opportunity cost. And I touched on it in the last point. If you know that as soon as your business has the answers that it needs to succeed, you would be earning, let's say, $20,000 per month. And if your learning curve was going to be 12 months, then that's $240,000 for that year in missed opportunity if you could have just figured out the answers to those problems that you had right here today. So then every month that goes by that you don't learn the skills required to get your business to that $20,000 a month, you are flushing $20K down the toilet. So if you could hire a coach even for $20,000 and they could get you to that goal even 1 month earlier, that coach would have paid for themselves. Now it might take you far longer than the 1 year. Now we can take this concept right the way down to even making sure that you're using your time properly. Let's say that you have aspirations to be a 7-figure entrepreneur. And if you follow one of the earlier points that I mentioned, which is we need to start operating and thinking like a 7-figure entrepreneur, do you think a 7-figure entrepreneur would be designing their own logo? Taking hours and hours and hours trying to figure out Photoshop or Canva or some other application to design a logo? Or would they go onto an outsourcing site, pay someone $50 and get a design back in a couple of hours while we can use that time for something else? Think about this. If you could get a logo designed for $20 and you spent 10 hours trying to do it yourself, you've actually just exchanged 10 hours of your time for $20. So the question then becomes, what's the missed opportunity there? Well, what could you have done with that 10 hours? If you had just paid someone $20 to take that task away from you, you've now gained 10 hours. Could you find something else to do with that time that would be worth more to you in the business than $20? The answer is often yes, in which case we need to make sure that we are auditing our time always. Look at the tasks you're doing, look at how you're spending your time, and is there something that's essentially below your pay grade? And you should be outsourcing those tasks to gain your time back and put it into somewhere else, otherwise you're going to fall victim to more missed opportunity. So you now know the 7 mindsets that you must have, but arguably more important than that are the mindsets that you must get rid of if you are falling victim to them right now. There's a video up here, go ahead and click on that, learn what they are, and I'll see you in the next video. If you've enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next one.